Hey, this is Greg, and this is episode 7, yeah, of my new vlog called Being Human Beings. Being Human Beings. And so, like a lot of my colleagues, we were asked to be blogging. And like a lot of my colleagues, I stopped blogging. And so a few months ago, I was challenged to get back to doing that. And the blogging was taking a little too much time. And I liked to just turn the video camera on and talk about a topic and do a vlog instead of a blog. So I started Being Human Beings. And this is, like I said, the 7th episode. And it's about the focus is really on humanizing education. And so it's one take and I turn on the camera and we just go after it. So that's what we're doing again today. And humanizing education really is taking kids where they're at, right? And creating learning around that and appreciating and celebrating people's lived experiences. And so much of humanizing education is based on equity. And so it makes a lot of sense to do a vlog. I told you it's one take. So these bloopers happen. It's to do a vlog post on equity specifically. So that's makes sense. So we were asked in our leadership meeting to look at our district's equity non-negotiables and reflect on this question: where can I live one of these equity non-negotiables? Where can I live one of these equity non-negotiables? And Deidre said something after that I wrote down quick because it was good. It was: a belief drives our action. A belief drives our action. So I thought about that and I thought, yeah, because we need to believe it. If we're going to have action, we have to actually believe it. It's not about learning it or learning about it or reading about it or watching a video about it. It's about believing it, and that we won't have any change in our action unless we truly, truly believe in it. A belief drives an action, not thoughts or intentions, but drives an action. So 2 equity non-negotiables I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to minimize my screen. You won't know that, but I am. Oh, it's not going to let me. So I'm going to just have to kind of wing it, but I have some notes too. So 2 of the equity non-negotiables. First one was the actual first one for our district is this one: eliminating inequities begins with each of us. First of all, I love that because it's like individual ownership. It begins with each of us. It's not this holistic thing that we can like dismiss because it's other people's job. It begins with each of us. We see students as people with assets and aspirations, and it is our job to help them realize their goals and dreams. And so that's the first one. The second one is actually the 10th equity non-negotiable, and this is what that one reads: every staff member is part of our intentionally designed educational team that co-plans together, sharing knowledge and expertise to better educate each child through co-teaching and purposeful collaboration. Awesome. I went through these non-negotiables and they're awesome, but they're a little wordy. So I put little cheat sheet little notes to like make it easier and quicker to understand. So for the first one, I put, we see students as assets. And for the second one, I put, all staff participate in planning and decisions. So the reason I'm bringing up 2 of these, even though we were asked if we could live one, is that to me, combining these 2 are huge and awesome. But the first thing I want to do is change the first one to we see students as assets to we see students and staff as assets. So it kind of changes that when we look at it that way, is we're not interchangeable pieces that could just be fit into master schedules. We all have personalities and different skills and talents and assets that we bring. And so we see students and staff as assets. And then the last one, I put, again, all staff participate in planning and decisions. So when we combine those, when we combine the first non-negotiable and the 10th non-negotiable, I have shortened it to say, we see staff as assets and trust them to make decisions. Dramatic pause. We see staff as assets and trust them to make decisions. So I would argue that every staff person has skills, talents, and abilities that no one even knows about. And that's terrible and scary and awful. And it means that sometimes we revert comfortably back into expecting staff to do whatever is in their traditional role or whatever the expectation is, without looking into them as a person and what they bring to the table that's different and unique and amazing and awesome. So I'd argue that every staff person has skills, talents, and abilities that we don't even know about. And interestingly enough, another equity non-negotiable is about preventing unmet potential. And when we change that lens to look at it from a staff lens, I think that that's something we really need to look at as well, is like making sure we're reaching staff potential and we're, ensuring that. Because again, all too often, if staff have skills, talents, and abilities that we don't even know about, or they have assets that we don't even know about, and we're not tapping into those, that's a problem. So what happens and what would happen? That's what I've been thinking about. What would happen if we tap into that? What would happen if we tapped in to the skills, talents, and abilities of our staff? And then when we did that, what would that mean for how we treat and relate to our students? So as leaders, if we can look at staff as assets and we can trust them to include them in making decisions, how would that change how they act as educators, teachers, colleagues, staff people? How would that change how they relate to their students? And then in turn, what would that bring about in their kids and in the students that they work with every day? Crazy deep stuff, I think. But I guess my thought with that, when we were asking about what's one of these that I can live, one of the equity non-negotiables I can live, is seeing students and staff as assets, giving them the wide range. And at DACI, we talk about setting very wide guardrails for staff, give them a lot of freedom to do what they think is right for individual kids and small groups of kids, to be able to meet the I can statements and be able to get kids to master the content that they need to, but not in a scripted way, in a way that works for each individual kid. That's what equity is, right? And here comes my daughter, but we're just going to keep rolling. You're on camera, Ainsley. It's okay. It's the joy of one take. Anyways, I think I'm pretty much finished and rambling on anyways. But what's one that I could live? It's seeing students and staff as assets and trusting them enough to be able to make decisions, because that's the one part we didn't talk about. What happens when we allow staff and encourage staff and empower staff to be a part of decision-making, not a part of listening and getting on board with what we decide and what we think is right, but actually stepping back as leaders and recognizing the assets of staff and letting them make decisions, and what that leads to with staff empowerment. And then again, what that sets forth for how they treat students and how they interact with students and how they educate students. Alrighty, that's it for episode 7 of my Being Human Beings vlog. And I followed the directions and I did a reflection on the equity non-negotiables. And I guess I'll probably type a little something up too, because there should be a little bit of an intro or something. So I'll do that too. But that's it for now. Bye.